Hello my fellow working class heroes, good day. I am Carlo and welcome to Carlo Excels. These are the objectives of this episode. Today we're gonna review how Excel treats, stores, and manipulates dates. And then we're gonna learn the basics of calculating dates and then a few applications of calculating dates. First of all, let's run through a few videos that we've already done in the past which talks about dates and what those videos have said. During lesson 3, we talked about the types of values in Excel. In that particular lesson, we talked about all kinds of values, which of course includes date values. And of course, we learned how to format them and view them. Then on lesson 26, we have the text to value functions. In other words, we had the value, the date value, and the time value functions. In that particular lesson, we learned how Excel calculates date values. And then on lesson 27, we had the basic date functions. We had the today function, the month, the day, the weekday, the year, and the date functions. During these functions, we learned the various ways that we can view dates using functions. So if you haven't done so yet, you may please view our lessons on the types of values in Excel and then the text to value functions and of course the basic date functions. You will find the links to these videos below this video in the descriptions part. Please watch those videos because those videos will be essential to understanding the things that we're going to discuss for today. As a bit of a review, let's talk about how we're supposed to enter dates, date values in Excel. So the most basic of which would be the basic month/day/year format. So for example, if we have June 12, 2021, so we have here June, which is 6, and then 12, the day, and then 2021, like so. Or we can also do, for example, June 12, 2021 in full date with the full words and the day and the year, like so. And just like we mentioned before, there are a few ways for you to find out if indeed you're entering the date values correctly. One way for you to do this is to find out how Microsoft Excel indents the dates as you enter them. If you enter, for example, 6/12/2021 like this, and then you press enter, you will notice that Microsoft Excel indents 6/12/2021 to the right. Microsoft Excel does that for all value data, including of course date values. Another way for you to know if you're entering date value correctly is if you can format the date value. So you can click on the cell that has a date value and then you can right click and select format cells. So you can select an alternative date format, like for example, let's pick the full format like so over here. And if it changes, that means Microsoft Excel recognizes this as a proper date value. So what does it look like if you enter a date and Microsoft Excel does not recognize it as a proper date value? So let's try it again. Let's have, for example, June 12, 2021. You will notice that I shortened June and I did not have a comma over here. So when I press enter, you will notice that Microsoft Excel continues to indent this to the left. That is because Microsoft Excel treats this as text data. It does not treat it as date value data. And of course, if you right click and then pick format cells and then you select date, if you try to change the formatting of the date, it does not change. That is because, again, Microsoft Excel does not recognize this as proper date value. This is simply text data as far as Excel is concerned. As what was mentioned during our lesson on date value, how does Microsoft Excel store and maintain date value? Date values are actually stored as serial numbers. In fact, you can see this if we convert these date value data into numbers. So I'm gonna pick format cells and I'm gonna pick number like so. Let's remove the decimal places for a moment. And when I press OK, you will notice that you have converted them into numbers, 44,359. So what are these date serial numbers? Let me show you exactly what they are by this simple demonstration. So we have here on the left side, we have here a serial number which I will type manually, and then here you have here the formula which simply links this cell to A2. In other words, whatever we enter here, whatever value we enter here will be copied to the other side. So we have here 1, we have here 2, and we have here 3. So these are numbers, but if you convert this to the date value by picking format cells and then converting it into a date, you will notice that Microsoft Excel has converted number 1 to January 1, 1900. If you convert 2 to date value, like what I'm doing right now, you will notice that it's now January 2, 1900. 3 will be January 3, 1900. I hope this gives you a clue now as to how Microsoft Excel stores and manipulates and treats date values. Date values are simply stored as numbered days, alright? So each and every day is counted by Microsoft Excel. So much so that number 1 is January 1, 1900. And as you continue to count up, you count up the days. So for example, the serial number 1 is January 1, 1900. Serial number 2 is January 2, 1900. 3 is January 3, 1900. If I have here, for example, 10,000, like so, and if I convert this into date value, you will have here May 18, 1927. That is because May 18, 1927 is the 10,000th day after January 1, 1900. If you have here another value of, let's say, 44,359, and then I convert this to date value, like so, you have here the date we were manipulating a while ago, which was June 12, 2021. So once again, dates are actually stored as numbers. Each and every whole number, each and every one in that number is account for a day. So what does this mean and why is this important? Well, knowing this is key for you to understand the basics of calculating dates. Let me illustrate this by giving you examples of dates. So let's say, for example, January 1, 1990, like so. So you see now that it has converted it into date value, so we're entering it correctly. So let's convert this into this format here, January 1, 1990. Then let's have another date here. Let's say, for example, December 12, 2021, like so. Now, these date values, we already know them. These date values, we already, oops, I'm clicking the wrong thing. These date values, we already know them to be serial numbers. So if I convert January 1, 1990 and December 12, 2021 to numbers like this, you get the result of 44,542 and 32,874. So once again, this is 44,000. This date is the 44,542nd day after January 1, 1900, and this is the 32,874th day after January 1. What you can essentially do is, if you subtract these two dates here, for example, let's have here this minus this is equal to 11,668. What you're essentially calculating is there is a difference of 11,668 days between January 1, 1990 and December 12, 2021. So if you take this 11,668 days, you can actually do further calculations with it. Say, for example, if you divide this by 30, like so, you can have estimated 388.93 or 389 months between December 12 and January 1. Or if you divide this by 365, divide this by 365.25, there are of course 365 days in a particular year, and then you add a 0.25 to account for leap years. So if you divide that by 365.25, you will have essentially 31.9. There are 31.9 years between December 12, 2021 and January 1, 1990. By knowing that these dates are actually serial numbers, you can in fact do calculations on them. So let's do some calculating of dates with examples that actually happen to us in our classrooms or in our school. This first example is like this. Take, for example, a particular athletic competition or a particular academic competition requires its participants to be at least 16 years old. Once again, at least 16 years old, but they must be 16 years old within a particular cut-off date. They are at least 16 years old within a particular cut-off date. So let's say, for example, the cut-off date is going to be June 1, 2021. So in other words, students must be at least 16 years old during June 1, 2021 for them to be able to attend this particular athletic competition or academic competition. So, based on the following data, how do we know who is going to be eligible? Now, given that we have the birth month, the birthday, and the birth year of all 200 students, we can now perform the date value function on this. So we already learned how to use the date value function in a previous lesson. So let's do the date value function. So date value, this is the month, and then this is the day, and then this is the year, and then we have the date value. So we have here the cutoff date, which is June 1, 2021, and the date value, which is August 22, 2006. Now, from our discussions from a while ago, we already know that these are actually serial numbers. So let's convert these to serial numbers for a brief moment so that we can see what is up. So this has a serial number of 44,348, and this has a serial number of 38,951. So to get the difference of days between these two, let's simply subtract this, the cutoff date, minus the date value, or rather the birth date of this student, and we get this result. So after subtracting June 1, 2021 to the birthday of Abby Mackenzie, what this number essentially tells us is, as of June 1, 2021, Abby is going to be 5,397 days old. But of course, that's not how we calculate age, right? We calculate age in terms of years, not in terms of days. So for us to get the number of years of this, we have to divide that by 365.25. So we take this formula, if you look at the formula bar over here, we take this formula here and then we divide that by 365.25. Once again, why do we add the 0.25? Because we want to account for leap years. In other words, we want to account for the additional day every 4 years. So when we press enter, the result is going to be 14.7761807. So this means as of June 1, 2021, this student is 14.77 years old. But of course, we do not have decimals in our ages, so we have to round this number down. We don't round it, we round it down. So just like what we already learned during a previous lesson, let's use the round down function for this. We want to round it down, and then we want to remove any decimal places. So for the round down function and for all rounding functions, if in case you haven't watched or if you haven't learned this lesson yet, please look at the descriptions below for you to find a link to the lesson on the round, round up, round down, and the int functions. So when we perform the round down function here, you will have an age of 14. So once again, as of June 1, let's convert this back into dates like so. So as of June 1, 2021, Abby is going to be 14 years old. And of course, because all of the formulas we've used here are relative references, we can just copy all of that and paste that over here. So now we have the ages, the calculated ages as of the cutoff date of each and every one of our students. And of course, let's highlight these cells here by using conditional formatting, just like what we've learned during a previous lesson. We can simply find the cells that have a value greater than 15. Because if you remember, we're looking for the students that are 16 years old as of the cutoff date. So anyone who is greater than 16, we want to mark. So we press OK. And then we will find here who is 16 years old. Okay, so this student here is eligible for the tournament. This student here, etc., etc. So you only have a few students who are eligible as of June 1, 2021. So that is how you look for the birth dates of students as of the cutoff date. Now for this next example, let's try something else. Let's set the cutoff date to today. Alright, let's set the cutoff date to today. This time, we're not going to calculate the age of a student by a particular cutoff date. We're going to calculate the age of the student as of today. So you will notice that I already calculated the date value. So these are the birth dates of the students, and they are now date value. So what are we going to use as the cutoff date? Now this is actually very easy. We already learned this from a previous lesson. We can simply use the today function. So once again, you may please review the lesson on the today function in the basic date functions. You will find the link to that lesson in the descriptions below. So we can simply use the today function to find out what is the date today. And as we learned in the past, the today function is going to adjust based on the actual date that is on your system, on the system clock of your computer. So this is the date today. Now let's calculate the age of the student based on the date today. Just like what we did a while ago, the formula has not changed. So what we can do is the cutoff date, which is the date today, minus their original birth date over here, and then divide that by 365.25. So once again, we want to round that value down. So we can use the round down function like so, and then set it to 0 decimal places. When we press enter, this student is 15 years old as of today. I am recording this video on February 20, 2022. So, as of today, this student is 15 years old. And once again, we can simply copy that and paste that all the way down here. And we very easily calculated the age of students as of today. Alright, let's do something fun. How about a birthday reminder? This is especially nice for advisors or for administrators who want to keep track of the birthdays of their people. So let's do a birthday tracker. So let's say you have 200 students under your care and these are their original birth dates. Now, when you celebrate a person's birthday, you're supposed to track their birthday this year, of course, not of course their original birthday. So we have to convert this date value into the actual year. So let's calculate what their birthday is going to be, the date value data of their birthday for this year. Thankfully, we already know how to do that using a combination of the date, the year, the month, the day, and the today functions. So once again, those functions, if you haven't learned those functions yet, please review the links on the description below. So let's do that. Let's find out what their birthdays are going to be this year. So date function. So for the year, let's use for the year argument, let's use the year function and let's declare the year as this year using the today function. Now for the month, let's use the month function and we're taking the month from this date value here. And then for the day function, for the day argument, let's use the day function and we declare the day as the day for this particular date. And then if you press enter, you will notice that you have August 22, 2022, which is the month, this month in this cell, this day of this cell, but the year of this year, which is 2022. And what is the cutoff date? The cutoff date is today. So let's use the today function for that, today, and then we have the date today. So essentially, what we want to find out in this birthday tracker is how many days remaining until this student celebrates his birthday. So to do that, we can simply subtract the birthday of the student this year minus the current day today. So that is easy to do. So the number of days, so this minus this is equal to this particular number, 183. So what this means is there is a 183-day difference between August 22, 2022 and February 20, 2022, meaning 183 days remaining until Abby celebrates his birthday. And then of course, in these formulas, we did not use any constants here. These are all absolute relative references. So we can simply copy paste all of those formulas, paste all the way down there, and you've essentially calculated the birthday counters of each and every student. Oh, there is a student actually that is celebrating his birthday today, because there is it says there's 0. So if you want to be fancy about this, you can actually highlight all of these cells, and just like what we already learned in our conditional formatting lesson, we can simply do something like, for example, we can use data bars like so. So using data bars, we can see the days remaining easily. Smaller bars means lower number of days remaining. And those in red mean negative, meaning their birth dates have already passed. And 0, of course, means that they're celebrating their birthday today. So we can also use filtering, or rather data sorting. So we can have data that looks like this. So we have now arranged we have now arranged this data based on days remaining. So we can see who is going to celebrate their birthday today and who's going to celebrate their birthday next, and in how many days is their birthday going to be celebrated. So once again, by knowing that Microsoft Excel simply stores and manipulates date value data as days, as serial number days, by knowing that, it's very, very easy for us to perform calculations on them, such as addition and subtraction. And of course, by knowing the various functions related to dates, such as the date value function, you have the date, the month, the year, the weekday, and all of those other functions. By knowing those functions, it's very easy for us to summarize and consolidate the dates and make it easier for us to calculate them. So that's it for the basics of calculating dates in Microsoft Excel. Once again, I am Carlo, and this is Carlo Excels. Thank you very much for watching.